Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Around the Table. It's Tails again here, and we're about to start. So, I've been trying some new things with this, and I don't think you guys realize how difficult this actually can be. I've been doing most of this as just one take, so the last episode was just one long take, and I might have had to restart maybe three times, but I was able to do that. But I realized if I'm actually bringing a guest, I'm going to have to edit a lot more. So that's definitely going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be too difficult, but it's definitely something that I have to look into. So I did make a poll if my episode should be like 15 minutes or less or 30 minutes or less, and a lot of people said 30 minutes or less or 30 minutes or more because they want to use it while they're running or if they're commuting. I just hear a little bit of insight, but I don't think guys I don't think you guys know how difficult it actually can be, but I'll try my best, at least for the time being. Well, I'm always trying my best, so I'm going to keep trying my best, guys. I will be implementing editing eventually soon. Also, a couple of people asked for their questions to be posted, so I'll have some questions on this episode. So the first question that I'm going to use is, okay, Tails, why don't you have an intro or an outro? So for now, I don't really have an intro, mainly because I don't want to just use random music. If I use random music, then I could potentially get sued, or this could be like taken off. So I don't want that to happen. Like back in the day, I used to make AMVs, and I made this really cool AMV for Chrono Crusade, not Chrono Trigger, yeah, Chrono Crusade, and it got flagged because of copyright, right? And I put a lot of hard work into that, and I don't want my hard work to be just wasted like that. So I'm not putting any music. I might suggest some music, but no music just yet. I did reach out to a friend out east who makes music. So I might actually add his music eventually, maybe for the starter. Or maybe he might be in an episode in the future as well. I did talk to him. He said he was interested. He's really into 90s style hip hop, and his music is 90s styles hip hop. Shout out to Vidal. Thanks for offering the music plug. So maybe we'll have the music sooner or later. I did get his album recently, so I'll look at some of those tracks and add them to the podcast, and we'll see how that sounds. So I'm very open for feedback. I want this to be as consistent as possible. Consistency is key. And I already said that I will be doing this. I said bi-weekly, but I'm probably going to change it to either twice a month or more, depending on how much energy I have. I am putting a lot more focus into a lot of things as New Year's coming, so I want to make sure that I don't burn myself out. I think that's one thing that a lot of people fail to understand. When you're learning something new, it's going to be hard at the start, but if you are consistent, it's going to become something that's natural to you, right? It's just like when you wake up, you go brush your teeth, grab something to eat, go shower, maybe not in that order. I actually brush my teeth after I eat, and then after I go take a shower. But that's me. Everyone does things a little bit differently. So you have to figure out what works for you so that you could be your best when you get there, right? So another thing that I wanted to talk about, I guess, is brainstorming versus starting. A lot of people are in the planning phase. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do this, and they get caught up with that, and they just never start. That's how this didn't start until now, right? I waited for so long. I thought about it. I actually went to do a lot of cleaning this weekend, and I was just going through my computer, and I found all of these notes on stuff that I wanted to do and what I was beginning to do and where I saw myself in like 2 years, 5 years, etc., etc. And there was a chunk of things that I actually did accomplish, but there was a lot of things that just were reoccurring that I wanted to do, but I didn't get to it. Then I wanted to do it again. Like the universe talks to you in a strange way where it'll keep reminding you about things that you really want to do, but like I say, you just have to start, and starting is where it starts. Right? So I do stream every once in a while. It's just getting that consistency and just getting used to talking to nobody. I think another thing that a lot of people realize that this is hard. This is pretty hard. Or like, I guess no, it's hard. I'm not even gonna play it down. I like to talk to people, so it gets easier the longer that I talk. But talking to nobody and knowing that nobody is going to respond is kind of rough. So you just gotta get yourself in those motions, and then whatever you start, whatever you're beginning, whatever you're planning to do, I found out the best way, at least for me, is to make it visual. So when I initially moved out, I had a big whiteboard and I put a bunch of stuff that I wanted to do. And I noticed that when I used the whiteboard, maybe 9 out of 10 things were completed all the time, right? I was consistent with my running. I was consistent with my yoga routine. I was consistent with saving money. Those are all things that were on the list. And having that visual representation really helped me because I'm a person that visualizes a lot. So I don't like people telling me something nasty, because as soon as you start telling me a story and it's gross, it's already in my imagination, right? So I think that's the reason why I like horror stories and just reading creepy things or fantasy books, because all of that just goes into my mind and I start to wonder, is this possible? Can we create it in real life? Does it have to just stay in my imagination, right? I don't know. That's just me. I wonder how you guys are. So I'm going to go to the second question. And this is from a good friend who's out west now. And they were wondering how to deal with coworkers, new employees, just deal with people at work. I'm going to actually read the question because I found it funny. I just gave you guys the nice version of it, but what is the psychological breakdown of a recently employed coworker undermining other coworkers who are welcoming and put effort and time into training them? Asking for a friend, who is me. I'm pissed. So I did get permission from this person, so you know who you are. And honestly, guys, this is a hard question, especially when some people just make things difficult, right? So I'd start with knowing yourself, right? Once you understand how you are, it's the best way to deal with everything else surrounding you, right? So I know I don't like overly positive people, which is kind of funny because my podcast is pretty positive. And even when I'm talking to people, I like to tell people to look on the bright side, or I might be positive, but like there's a feeling of odd or like fakeness. Like I don't even like motivational speakers for the most part, because a lot of them feel like they're selling something to me, so, or trying to sell something to me, and I don't like that. I like genuine people, right? And I usually have a sixth sense for people who are trying to con me or people who are menacing. So the first way to deal with other people is knowing what you like, knowing how you are, and knowing what you don't like. When you don't like a characteristic from someone, you have to be a little bit more open, because that could also be a you problem, right? So if you're projecting your you problem on someone else, that's not going to help, because sometimes that characteristic that you don't like will actually come out more, and you're you're actually feeding that. So just trying to get to know yourself is the first step. Uh, when someone who's actively being like this, it depends. If they're new, right? Maybe they're trying to set up how they want people to view them, or maybe their old workplace used to be like that, or maybe they're just a terrible person, right? But you got to remember that for the most part, that's not your problem. You have to deal with them, and then after, you have to figure out how to pass a day without them pissing you off or them making you be like them, which is something that you most likely don't like, right? For me, I won't talk too much about my workplace, but for me at work, I think I'm pretty friendly. Not everyone likes me. Sometimes you do, like sometimes I do hear shit talk, but realistically, for me, and I guess it's just how I think. If I don't think you're important, or if you're not important to me, I couldn't care less what you say, right? So you could say the best, the worst. It doesn't matter. You don't matter, right? So that's another way to look at it. If the person isn't a person that directly affects your life, right, it shouldn't really matter, right? This is a little bit harder when it comes to managers, right? People who are in charge, or people who are in charge of you at work, can and will make your life a living hell if they don't like you. My advice to that is stand your ground, right? Don't be overly rude. And if you think the person is harassing you, if wherever you live has the harassment laws, make sure you start documenting things and putting the dates, the times, and everything. Also, make sure you say something a couple of times, or look into your work rules. Some workplaces don't have, or they have, you don't pursue, right? So, like my workplace, if someone's harassing you or whatever, you go talk to management. You don't do anything on your own accord. You don't push them. You don't yell at them. You just go snitch, right? Because my workplace, it's all safety first, yada yada yada. So that's what you do. Find the rules of your workplace and use that to your advantage, especially dealing with coworkers who are getting on your nerves, or people who are overly rude. Or you know what, if it's someone who's brand new, you got to let them know, like, listen, this is, like, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or you're saying this and it's bothering me. Sometimes you're perceiving something wrong, and from your perception, getting their view might change how you view them. Like for me personally, I get along with most people at my workplace. There's people that I don't, and the people that I don't, for the most part, they've pushed me to the point where I have to be disrespectful for them, or disrespectful towards them. And I'm the type of person that gets very disrespectful. I'm overall pretty nice. I would say I'm nice. I'm not a nice guy, I'm kind, right? But if you treat me with disrespect, and it's consistent, then you're going to see the other side of me, and I'm not going to hide that, because I don't have time for your foolishness, and you're not going to make me miserable at my workplace. Whether you've been there longer than me or for less time, you got to always take care of yourself, guys. So just to recap that, take care of yourself, stand your ground, let the person know, and learn your work rules. Learn your work rules, protect yourself, because your mental health is important, and your job is important unless you have something else that's lined up. So definitely look into that. Hopefully that advice helps you and anyone else who's listening. Yeah, I usually do give advice. I actually wanted to do a website for the longest time. It was Tails Tips, where I just give like random advice and people just ask me stuff. Maybe I'll make that a segment. Who knows? But I'm always offering advice. I've been giving advice since I was like 12, which is crazy. It's been a long time. But I think I have the ability to empathize with people a lot more than other people. So I could put myself in your shoes even if I'm not dealing with that scenario. But like I said, I have like a vivid imagination, so I could kind of put myself in the scenario mentally and try to see how I would feel in that way and try to change. So that's why anyone who actually like makes me super mad or I get to the point where I'm just always disrespectful to them is that I put myself in their shoes. I've tried to adapt, and that person is refusing to change. So I'm not going to change for a person who's horrible. I'm going to be me, and then they're going to deal with that side of me, right? And I think that's best for both parties because sometimes you have to be mean to someone to for them to realize that, oh shit, this person's not a pushover, or oh, I can't really do this to this person, so I'm gonna stop, and they'll go do their fuck shit with other people because they know that they can, but they know they can't try that with you. Like I said, I wouldn't talk too much about my workplace, but at my workplace, there's three people that I'm outright disrespectful to, and one of them is not allowed to talk to me. That's how far they pushed the line, and that's how far I brought it up because I'm not dealing with that shit at all. Right? I'm here to make my money and go and try to do my best job. I don't have time for that person's bullshit. So, yeah. Sorry, that was kind of negative, but we're going to keep it going. So, like I said, I've been cleaning a lot recently, and it's a thing that I actually kind of enjoy, which is weird. But when I clean and I organize things, or even like just plan something, it kind of puts my mind into like a type of flow, and I just feel at ease while doing all of that. If that makes any sense, like a lot of people, like they'll watch a show or play some music, but for me, it's mainly like cleaning and running. All right, those things kind of just put my mind at just like a different tune, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm one of those people that could go for a run, no music, 30 minutes, or I'll be at the gym and I have no headphones on and I'm going hard for like an hour and everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy or I'm some type of serial killer because I'm there not listening to music and just like completely focusing on just working out. Yeah, when I get really focused, sometimes I don't hear anything. All that's in my mind is what I'm doing and what I'm thinking about. Everything else just doesn't matter. It's kind of weird, but I kind of like myself in that mode because I feel like I'm very productive at that time. And, you have to find out what works for you. There's a lot of things that you could learn by just being by yourself or being away from certain things. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people in this generation, I'm talking about like the younger kids, that they didn't really get to experience. So, I'm stereotypical 90s kid, right? So, in the 90s, we went through that whole transition, right? Because I was talking to someone that, when I was a kid, I actually had a typewriter at home. So I used a typewriter and, the rotary phones and everything. And I set up my parents' voicemail when I was in like grade 2 or 3. So we didn't even have voicemail until a certain point in my life where same thing with like the internet. The internet was like really slow. So for the most part, we're outside playing, just doing like crazy shit and enjoying yourselves, right? And the level of interaction is completely different. Like, I'm not saying your online friends don't matter or you can't have deep, meaningful relationships with people online, but I feel that it kind of hits different when you're hanging out with someone or just doing something with someone like in the physical realm kind of thing. I saw this meme where it was talking about Zoom calls or even like talking online where it's kind of like a seance because you're talking and you're like, oh, can you hear me? Oh, are you there? Right? If you don't know what a seance is, you can Google it. Uh, but it's kind of funny how um, something so basic like just going next door, asking someone for like a cup of sugar or whatever has gone so weird where you don't even ask people for directions anymore. You just enter into your phone and you get on your way. Interaction has gone down a lot since the late 90s. I was talking to someone about this where when I was younger, a lot of people just went outside and played. Your parents really wouldn't care because they trusted their neighbors, especially like in my neighborhood where I was growing up. We had a lot of kids. So we had kids from like maybe four, so kids who are still in their diapers and stuff, to kids who are probably like 15, 16. And all these people are playing together. They're playing Manhunt or Tag and stuff. Like, I learned a lot of things from older kids when I was younger. Like, I learned how to ride my bike, which took me a really long time to learn. I learned how to climb a fence. I learned how to hide very well. There's a lot of like weird things that I learned, but everyone's here has been a kid, and if you're a kid listening to this, you're gonna learn a lot of things in your life, right? But those experiences, I think, are far less now because a lot of children are on the phone, or parents are paranoid, right? Because back to what I was saying, we used to play till like 11 p.m., 12 midnight, right? And none of the parents were concerned. The big kids played with the small kids played with the small kids played with the big kids played with, like, everyone was still watching out for each other, and no one went home without someone not knowing where they're going, right? And I think it's pretty crazy now where people don't even trust their neighbors, or they don't even know who their neighbors are. Like, I know my front door neighbor, I know the people who live beside me, right? And I think it's crazy that some people could actually like die in their home and no one will know that they're dead because they don't talk to their neighbors, right? Or they won't know that something's wrong because they they just don't talk to that person because they might be a killer or whatever. And I think that concept was blown up in the late 90s. Like, I saw the change in my parents' attitude when America's Most Wanted came out, and you know, from staying outside 11 p.m. with no cell phones, right? No cell phones, so your parents can find you if they're outside and you're outside and they don't know where you are. They have to go and look for you. No GPS tracking device, right? They they cannot find you, and they have to hope that you come back home, and they have to trust the people that you're around. But stuff like that kind of crept into the minds of a lot of parents, and then people couldn't go over to people's houses after a certain time, and I think it changed the whole mental state of just neighborhoods and interactions itself. So I think we've come a long way from trusting our neighbors to not trusting our neighbors to trusting a random source on the internet, which is kind of wild. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty crazy. The last topic I'm going to talk about, and it's been a topic that I've been talking about online recently, will come after my Christmas story. So, usually, I'm not a big holiday person. I've never been. My family hasn't done much or never really did anything growing up. I didn't even know that Thanksgiving was a thing until I was like 7, when I accidentally went to a friend's place at Thanksgiving, and that was like one of the most awkward experiences of my life. But I'll save that story for later. But this holiday, it's been pretty crazy. You guys already know coronavirus 2020. Uh, I don't know where you live. Some places, you can move freely. Some places are a very hard lockdown. other places, limited visit, close family only. So maybe the last three Christmases have been like kind of eventful. My stepmom likes to do things on Christmas, so that's one of the times that I do come and visit, and it's really nice, right? When your family does something, right? Because my Christmases and most holidays is just like nothing. It was a Sunday where you can't visit your friends because they're doing stuff with their family, and then no one here is like celebrating or doing anything. So it was kind of bland and boring. So having that like sense of community, family, friends, and other people was always nice. This year was a little bit different, a little bit less people, but that's fine. It was nice. I had a surprise guest. My aunt was over, and I didn't even know that she lived like six doors down, because my dad never tells me anything. And then everyone's mad at me, but I'm not in the loop, right? So she was there, so I was really excited because I haven't seen her in like 10 plus years. And then I saw my cousin who I haven't seen in like 10 to 15 years. So that was wild. So that was like a nice Christmas present for me, because um, sometimes there's people in your life that you just think about them and you just don't know how to contact them, and then they spontaneously enter your life, right? I think that's a me thing, especially. Like I run into people a lot. If I start talking about someone, they'll just kind of appear if I talk about them enough. It's kind of strange. So that's why I don't talk about people that I don't like, because I don't want them showing up in my life because I don't like them, right? Um, but yeah, this Christmas was pretty good. It was nice. Did some goofy things, catching up with people. Uh, my sisters were on TikTok and they dragged my dad into it, and he did this like ridiculous dance, and it's online forever. So I might post it. I don't know. My sister posted it, and I just look at it as it's a big face palm. You know, when your family embarrasses you, and you're just like, oh, I'm related to these people, or you pull the actually I'm adopted. It was one of those scenarios, but it was all fun. So it was nice, and it's definitely gonna be in a good memory bank in my head, right? A lot of people have been bad this 2020. I'm going to have an episode on 2020, just the year in itself, soon. So we'll get a little bit more episodes this time around because it's crunch time. But yeah, the last message that I'm going to put out is reaching out to people. Like I said, like for me, in the past, the holidays have been like really lame, kind of dark, lonely times for me, and that's for a lot of people, and people don't understand that. A lot of people complain about, oh, they didn't get what they wanted for Christmas or this and this and that, but there's a lot of people who are out there just dealing with things by themselves, and the pressure of Christmas, the pressure of presents, the pressure of everything going around, um, just kind of gets to them. Like I was talking about me basically being the Grinch. I am the Grinch for the most part, right? Especially working in retail where people, or I used to work in retail, but when you're working in retail and people treat you like shit, right? And then after they expect you to smile because it's Christmas, or smile because it's this holiday, right? It's like, no, I'm not gonna smile. It's freaking cold, it's dark, and you're an asshole. Why am I gonna smile? Why am I gonna be happy for, right? And I was talking to one of my coworkers because we both used to work retail, and our workplaces had a soundtrack that would loop, and it would have the same song, the same time of day, every day during the holiday season. And you don't know how crazy that can make you go, because, you know, imagine walking into work, 11 a.m., have a holly jolly Christmas, and it's just like every single day at 11. It's a nightmare. right? It's a nightmare. Uh, I would say it's more like Groundhog Day than anything because you don't want to be there. Everyone's fake happy and they want you to be fake happy too, right? No, I'm not being fake happy. If I'm upset, I'm upset. Deal with it. Uh, don't tell me to smile. Just take your things and go. Right? I'm having a horrible day, and you're not helping right now. But yeah, you got to reach out to people because it's dark times for some people, and the pressure gets real. I won't expose certain things that happened this year, but I've had a lot of people who have been going through some things, and um, especially with all the pandemic stuff, and it's really hard on them. People losing their jobs, people not being able to make ends meet, people potentially getting kicked out. Um, Mental health being horrible because they can't go outside, they're paranoid, they can't interact with people, they're immune compromised, and they don't know what to do, what's next, right? And that's why it's important to reach out to your friends. Some friends hide it better than others. Some people, anytime they're upset, they're posting online, and you're just like, damn, maybe you should keep some things to yourself, right? And that's kind of a selfish thing to do, but at the same time, you're when you have that kind of thought, you're more concerned about them showing that side to everybody, right? Like me personally, if I'm upset, there's certain people that I talk to, or I find like a new venue to um, express myself or express that without kind of compromising myself. I'm like, I share a lot, right? But at the same time, I'm not going to share everything, and I'm not going to share certain things with certain people because um, some people just like to talk. Some people, uh, they don't want to mind their own business, and then they're going to be talking about you, and that's going to bother you later. So that's why I don't do that. I don't want to get mad about something that I said that someone spread, and it's at the end of the day, it's my fault because I told that person, you know? So you got to recognize the signs that people use, especially like your stronger friends or your friends who come off as strong. There's a lot of people silently suffering, and that's how, one day you just find out a friend did something crazy and you're kind of flabbergasted on why or how that could happen, right? So, if there's people that you haven't heard from in a while, I think that's my takeaway. Um, Say hi to them, talk to them, see what's going on. And if any of your friends are like posting online frantically or like differently, then message them, see how they're doing. Pull up if you can pull up, right? Quarantine got people stuck inside, right? But your visit could change their mood. Your words could change their mood. Um, you know, just that action of caring could completely change that person's mindset, and they could remember that some days are good, some days are bad, and there's always tomorrow, right? So I think I'm gonna end it off like that. Hopefully you guys had a nice Christmas. I managed to actually talk for a while. This is gonna be interesting to listen back to. But thanks for everything. Thanks for checking it out. I think our last stream got 40 views. 40 is really good. It's not a lot, but it's a lot to me, so I really appreciate that. Um, Potentially 3 more episodes coming soon. Uh, One of my guests is on the countdown, so I know you're gonna hear this. So I'm putting you on blast. You know who you are. So if you don't show up, then I'm gonna deal with you in that interview. So you guys might hear me being a little bit snappy towards someone, but my attitude will change, uh, depending on who I talk to, right? Because there's different vibes with different people that you hang out with, right? Some people you are super mellow. Some people you're both just very angry when you're hanging out with each other, but it's like a healthy anger, right? I call them therapy sessions. So when you and someone are hanging out, and then you you start to complain about something, and they start to complain about something, then you're both just complaining about stuff that you don't like, and then you guys just feel great, and then just do something else. But it's just like, how could something positive come from something so negative, right? But it happens. Everyone has like different friends that you do different things with, and like I said in my last podcast, I love my friends. Thank you guys for checking this out. Even if you're not my friend, thanks for heading here and listening to the podcast. Hopefully, this has been entertaining to you. It's been entertaining to make. Uh, I had like a list of topics that I wanted to talk about, and I missed like half, but either way, this has been pretty long, so I gotta listen back to this and see if I have to actually edit it or not. But the main takeaways, guys, is brainstorm for a short while, then just start. Um, pace yourself, right? You want to make sure that you don't overwhelm yourself when you want to do anything. Just baby steps, right? Dealing with coworkers, uh, you know, everyone's different. Remember that. Learn your work rules. Know yourself and give that person an opportunity before you kind of dismiss that person. Figure out what helps you deal with life, cope with life, right? Find out what helps you do more and be more. And don't forget to reach out to your friends. There's some people who are fine with not talking to you for a while, or not talking, period. But when someone's starting to act strange, especially if you care about them a lot, make sure you go say hi or whatever. Um, yeah, sometimes you have a gut feeling. Like for me, if I start to miss someone, I make sure that I go and talk with them. Um, yeah, I guess I could add like an end story here before I cut off. Like, I always want to stop and I just keep going. That's like how talking with me works, anyways. So I guess this is perfect for podcasts. But a couple years back, one of my friends reached out to me, and he was like upset. He lost his job recently, and he was like, "Oh, we never hang out. I haven't hung out with you and the guys in forever, and I know this is kind of awkward, but hey, when do you want to chill?" And I was kind of like, what are you talking about? We're like, me and my friends were not those type of people anyways, where it's like, oh, you haven't talked to us, so why are you talking to us now, kind of thing, right? It's like a 24/7 restaurant. You come in when you want to come in, you go when you want to go. Even like how we talk to each other, we don't talk to each other constantly, right? So I was kind of asking him, like, when were we ever like that? You're that's kind of silly. Whatever, we'll chill, whatever. So um, after that conversation, we hung out a bunch. We went to a convention together. It was just like maybe 4 or 5 sessions in like maybe 4 months. It was crazy. I haven't seen this guy in like maybe 4 years, and he kind of reached out to me, and it was nice. It was nice. And after after we were chilling for a bit after the convention, uh, he just got himself together. He was talking about the future. We were talking about the future. He was talking about um, starting his own business, and building computers, streaming full time, and everything. We were making like big plans. Like I was talking about the podcast. I was talking about the store. I was talking about potentially going back to school. I was talking about work too. Like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get to this point in work in this amount of time. I have all this planned. So like we were brainstorming, just shooting the shit, having a fun time. And then after, I left. So probably 2 weeks later, that friend that I caught up with, who just randomly was like, oh, hey, he actually died. So he had a heart condition, and it was pretty crazy. How he died was really sad. He died on stream. So he was streaming. He had a heart attack. It was actually the viewers who got the ambulance to come and get him. And unfortunately, while he was on the way to the hospital, he died. So that was the first time I've lost someone who I was kind of close with, someone who I've talked to on the regular at that point, and it kind of obviously like it made me upset. Like at work, I couldn't deal with it. Right, I had to go on break early and stuff like that. But one thing that I didn't regret was spending time with the person, because a lot of people, suddenly someone dies or whatever, and like even at the funeral, there are people who said like, "Oh, I wish we could have hung out together, or we could have hung out more," and this and that. I never felt that type of grief, and I'm happy that I didn't, because I just follow my gut when I miss someone. I'll message them, I'll go visit them, even if it inconveniences me, right? Like this year, as bad as it sounds, guys, don't judge me here, or you can judge me, whatever. I visited more people in 2020 than I've been able to visit people all, like, maybe the last 3 years. And I still think that's pretty crazy. It makes sense because people weren't working and everything, and people were paranoid, but I'm not the type of person to come visit you unless you're comfortable, right? So yeah, and I haven't been sick all year, so you can say maybe I'm lucky, maybe I'm playing with death. It depends on what your view on the pandemic is, but it's something that I've been very happy about. But back to the point. The point is, just make sure you do check up on people, reaching out, and doing the best that you can for yourself and those that you care about. So I'm going to be ending it now. See you in the next episode. If you've made it this far, I'd like to say thank you again. Leave a peace sign wherever you're hearing this, so that I know that you made it to the end. And thanks for tuning in. New episodes coming out soon.